And then you have other spirits that will, work under or just that come in as side ones, or come in that have very strong places in people, like one we've talked about. I don't know if we talked about it here, but guilt and shame. And guilt and shame is very powerful. I think we've talked about it. I don't know if we have. It's like a blanket on people, and they'll come in and they'll put a blanket of shame on people, and where they have to deal with that guilt, that something's happened in their life, or they've done something, or even a lot of times you'll get people who have been abused sexually, and there's this guilt and shame that runs on them, and they can't seem to get free of it. And so they'll do things to make them feel guilty. They'll steal, they'll do things that make them feel like they should be punished, and that guilt and shame just rides them and doesn't let them go. And then they'll come in with a torment, and that torment will come in and tell them, you unworthy thing, look what you did. And then unworthiness comes in, and what they do is they form this whole social network.
Yes.
And they're actually all connecting, and one pounds this way and the other pounds that way, and then one builds up and the other one pounds down, and they form this double binding. Where one will say, oh, why don't you just do it? You deserve this, nobody really cares. And then when they do it, you unworthy. Why would you do that? You don't care about it. All you care, and
all that guilt comes in.
All that shame. Condemnation's very big. Ties in with guilt and shame and works with it. And when you see somebody who's under that guilt and shame, you have to, work with them and to get to that, really the root of why they feel that guilt and shame. And a lot of times they don't even...
maybe when they were rejected by their father.
Or something happened, or they did something, because sometimes if they're abused, they'll go and abuse another sibling, and because that's what they know. And there's a lot of guilt and shame in that, what they've done, and they don't want to admit it, or, even talk to that sibling, or they'll get mad at them all the time. And there's an unworthiness, a spirit of unworthiness, there's a bitterness, there's unforgiveness, all these other spirits that come in, and they'll bind that person up and they'll stop their heart from flowing, where the kingdom of God wants to flow out of. And so you find a person who's very bitter, and it says in Hebrews that bitterness is a root, has deep roots, and so bitterness and like resentment, they work together, and they'll hold a person in that place that they can't get free of. And it's amazing that all these things, it's endless, there's disgust, that's a spirit, like where you feel disgusted with somebody, you can't even look at them. There's all these things that tie together, and their only purpose is to stop us from becoming who we're supposed to be in the kingdom. And their only reason to do that is they want to manifest their personality through us. But really what they want to do is they want to block up the kingdom of God from working through us. And so when we have these hurts and we have these areas in our life that are subject to those strongholds and mindsets, because any spirit there that's in there is working on a mindset or a stronghold. It has a castle built up that it's living out of.